Hi guys, this is my second video for Svetlana, who asked me to do two tags. The previous tag was the reread, rewrite, or burn tag, which I had a lot of fun with. It was an interesting challenge. And the second one is the classics book tag. So I'm going to be doing that for now. And so let's move on, let's start it. First question, an overhyped classic you really didn't like. For me, that's easy. It's Moby Dick. I hate Moby Dick. That book, I swear, was written just to torture people's eyes. Yeah, there's obviously things that went over my head with that book, but I just didn't like it at all. Alright, second question. Your favorite time period to read about? My favorite time period is the 1800s, but, you know, I'm interested in almost all time periods. There's time periods even, well, there's even places today in the world that are just completely alien to the way that I'm used to living. And if you go back in time, it's the same thing. So my favorite, though, is 1800s, and also I would say 1900s as well. Question number 3. What is the most what classic are you most embarrassed about for having not read yet? And for me, that is easy again, because I have not read any Shakespeare. None. And it's something I should probably read. Being a writer, you know, just his vocabulary alone is mind-boggling. And so it's something I want to read. It's just I was never forced to read it in school, and so I don't know. Maybe one day I will tackle some Shakespeare. Alright, question number 4 is name 5 classics you would like to read and soon. Alright, so the first one I have right here, I went to the library today, and that is The Winter of Our Discontent by John Steinbeck. I love John Steinbeck, and that's one of his books I have yet to read. The second one I would say is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens is one of those authors I really love, and Tale of Two Cities is one of the books I haven't read by him yet. Anything by Lord Dunsany. He's another writer I'm kind of embarrassed I haven't read yet. I would love to read the collection by Clark Ashton Smith, The Return of the Sorcerer, because I love sword and sorcery type stories. Just they're so dark and gritty. They're awesome. And War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I just love the challenge of that really thick book, and just the time period, Russia 1800s, during war and peace, huh? See what I did there? Anyway, question number 5, favorite modern book or series based on a classic. And I'm gonna go with you know, to be honest with you, most epic fantasy is based off J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I read a fair amount of fantasy. I think I'm gonna go with Raymond E. Feist's Midkemia stories, especially like Magician Apprentice and Magician Master, that series. That's what got me into fantasy originally, and I have a very big soft spot for them. And there's some, you know, there's definitely some connections there between Feist's work and Tolkien's. Next question, favorite movie, TV series based on a classic. I'm going to cheat with this one, because The Woman in Black by Susan Hill, it was written in or published at least in 89, I believe, 1989. Not technically a classic, but it reads like a classic, and is very much like a British classic, a ghost story. And there's 2 adaptations for that one. The television series, I think the BBC did back in the early 90s. I can't remember when. Maybe that's when it was 89, whatever. That miniseries is fantastic. Fantastic adaptation. And of course the Danielle Radcliffe Hammer movie that came out a few years ago. Excellent movies, excellent story. Good ghost story. Alright, what else do we got here? Worst classic to movie adaptation, and I'm gonna go with most Charles Dickens stories. Most of them, they just become like melodramas, and I just can't stand it. Of course, I'm not talking about the classic Christmas story, Christmas Carol. It's a classic movie. I like watching that on Christmas Eve almost every year for I don't know how many years. So that one is a good one, but avoid most of the others. Okay. And the final question, oh no, there's two more. Question number 9, favorite editions you'd like to collect more classics from? For me, it's easy. Penguin classics, like this book here, they just feel really good in your hand. They're floppy. They're easy to hold, they're easy to read. The spine doesn't break on them if you like bend them a little too far back. They're fantastic, and I can't recommend Penguin Classics enough. And usually the print's good too, so definitely, if you don't collect Penguin Classics, the only fault of Penguin Classics is that they're a bit expensive. But what can you do? Alright, last question. Question number 10. An underhyped classic you'd recommend to everyone. And you know, I'm going to go with something that nobody probably wants to read. I'm going to go with Conan by Robert E. Howard. It's pulp. It's, again, we're going back to that sword and sorcery, but it's so much fun. It's so nasty, man. I love those books, or those stories. Well, they're like short books, short stories. Definitely check out the collection for that. Audible right now has a fantastic collection of that Paperback Junkie recommended, and I want to check those out because I've heard a lot of good things about that one particular audio production. Alright, thanks everyone. You'll see me very shortly, and keep being creative.